Well, hello there, folks. My name is Mark Miles. As you know, and if you're following this channel, you probably are a trainer, presenter, teacher, workshop facilitator, whatever you want to call yourself. Maybe you are just a mentor in your workplace. I don't know. But in today's video, I want to give you 9 tips. I know it's a lot of tips there, folks, but it's all about 9 tips to prevent, manage, and get the most out of any student or participant or audience member that may be dominating your sessions a little bit more than they really should, right? And I've done other videos on this, and I talked about the 3 types of DNA that you'll get in a learning environment. You'll get the dominators, you'll get the non-participants, and you'll get the activists, right? And there's a separate video around that. You can definitely check it out, right? But in today's video, I want to talk to you about the 9 ways you can actually prevent someone being non-dominant in your session and basically putting up their hand to answer all of your questions there, right? And someone that is just constantly hogging the space, so to speak. Now, this video is kind of inspired based on something I saw recently that was teaching 2 techniques to deal with the dominators, so to speak. Now, what they were teaching in the video was fine, but it was a little bit reactionary. It was a little bit what to do but there wasn't really much talking about, well, how do you lay the groundwork so it doesn't happen? And if you apply these 9 tips, highly likely you won't get any dominators in your training room, your workshop, at all. It just won't happen, right? And myself, I've been in the game a long time now. I rarely ever have it or experience it just because these 9 things are in place and the expectations are kind of set, right? So first one, grab a pen, get ready to write. Let's transform your results. Number 1, I want to encourage you to walk in with a little bit more of a commanding presence, a bit more of a commanding presence, right? What that means is when you walk into the room, own the space, right? So that could walk in with confidence, and within the first 3 to 5 minutes, get people to stand up, get people to do something, right? Because the moment you actually walk in and create movement, people start to realize, wow, this person's a little bit different. Wow, they actually are in control of what's about to happen. Or, people respect that. They see certainty behind it, right? Get people to stand up or get people to grab a pen and write something down. Could be anything at all. But as soon as you insert urgency, people go, okay, we need to strap in for the ride, so to speak, right? So really come in with a commanding presence, and at the same time, make them feel safe emotionally later on, of course, right? Second part is rules, right? Make sure within the first, 5 to 10 minutes, you are setting what I call rules of engagement and get people to agree to those rules of engagement. And, make sure that you have rules around when to ask questions, how to ask questions. One person shares at a time. Another ground rule could be, we all respect each other's opinions and views, and we all want to hear from everybody as well. We want to create a safe learning experience for everybody. Do we all agree to that by a show of hands? Awesome. And what I'll even do is get people to read those ground rules to each other, and it's a fun thing to do. And then you can get them to sign it at the end. There's lots of different things that you can do with ground rules, right? Lots of fun. But my advice, always include the magic word of because, right? Give them a reason to actually apply the rule. Next one, create momentum early on. As I said, if you can get them to stand up and move around, if you can get them to actually write something down, that's going to be great. But put a fast pace around whatever you do. Because if there's fast energy around what's going on, people go, oh, I don't have time to constantly put up my hand. I don't have time. I've got to strap in for the ride and I've got to play along. Right? So next one. Ideally, fall directly on people. All right. So instead of throwing questions out to the group, call on people. So Ted, what is the answer to X? Or Bill, I know that you've done this 3 times previously. What is the biggest thing that you discovered or realized as you did that? Or, Mary over there, and get people individually contributing. Don't just throw out questions to the entire group. Avoid that as much as you can, because if you throw it out to the group, that's when you have people's opportunity to go, oh, constantly, same person asking and dominating there, right? So next one, which is kind of tied into it, avoid asking for volunteers, right? Never say to your group, can I get a volunteer? Can I get a volunteer? Reason for that is you get a couple of things. Instant silence. People go, awkward, right? Second thing is typically with volunteers, you're going to get the same people volunteering every time anyway. So just notice who are those people that want to volunteer and just go straight to them and just go, all right, cool, Mary, can you come up to the front here and jump in? What I mean by that is Mary, she's probably the type of learner, I don't know if there's any Marys watching this video, that loves to get involved, right? You should be picking this up within, the first 30 seconds or 5 minutes of delivering your sessions. And other videos I've done, I talked to you about the personality styles, but basically there is one type that really wants to be the teacher's pet, gets involved, turns up early, wants to contribute a lot. So you should already be earmarking those people and getting those people to be part of your session, and you should be using those people as your demo subject, so to speak, right? So earmark your volunteers. Don't throw it out to the group and say, can I get a volunteer? Because it makes you look unprepared, and also it kind of creates instant silence, and no one wants that, right? So next one, if you are delivering online and you want responses in the chat box, which I'm sure that you do, make sure that you get a response from everyone. So if you've got a group of 20 or even 30, depending on how large your session might be, make sure that you set a ground rule that everybody must respond. Everybody must respond. So for example, you may say, all right, so there are 3 stages to creating influence in a marketplace. Everyone, just so I know that you got that, drop the number 3 in the chat box for me, right? And then you wait, and then you wait, and you say, oh, I'm still waiting for a response from a couple of people here, folks. I'm not moving on until everybody's responded in that chat box, right? Now that does a couple of things. It really creates an air or a vibe of everybody is all together, everybody must respond, and everybody's experience relies on other people as well, right? So nobody can sit back and do nothing. Everybody must be involved, right? And you could even go, would you agree that, would you agree that mindset is important? Drop a yes in the chat if you would agree that mindset is important. All right, cool. I think I'm getting responses from everyone there. Just going to wait. I'm not seeing a yes from everyone. You can really play it out. But I want to encourage you, if you want to create equilibrium and equal contributions from everyone, make sure you go after your audience, right? That's going to be context dependent and question dependent, of course, but make sure you get everybody responding and trained to know they have to respond, right? Even if it's a yes or a no, doesn't matter. Go after their response, right? Next one, avoid too much open air questioning, right? So try and avoid the question of, has anyone ever had the experience of X, Y, Z, and could you tell us about it, right? It can be an okay question, but if you use it too much, then you're going to get the same person putting up their hand, and they may give you a very long answer that puts you in a position of, okay, should I cut them off here? Should I cut them off there? Or maybe they even reveal stuff that's a little bit inappropriate, right? So remember, if you are asking a question to a group, what you get back is going to be a reflection of whatever you ask, right? So even in icebreakers, if you say to a group, tell us one interesting thing about yourself, that can really be opening up yourself and the entire group to being hearing some stuff that you may not want to hear, right? So be careful. Any question you ask, the response you get back is your fault, your responsibility. So if you want to get a particular response back, make sure you're asking the question that's going to get the response you want, right? So next one. Online, if you want to minimize dominators, one of the simplest things that you can do is do a lot more pair work in breakout rooms, right? So by doing breakout rooms, you are putting people into confined experiences or confined spaces, right? Which is really cool because maybe you've got, let's say, Bill. Apologies if Bill's watching this video, but maybe you have Bill that loves to talk, right? So as much as possible, you want to be putting Bill into breakout rooms and everyone into breakout rooms, of course. But when you put the dominators and everybody in breakout rooms, there's less chance that Bill is going to dominate the entire session. So when you're delivering, you're going to have so many activities people are doing in breakout rooms that, there's less time for Bill to influence the entire room. Right? And the other part about that is you can actually use, and apologies to Bill, but you can actually move Bill around to different breakout rooms. So he's going to have less of an influence with the same group for the entire time, right? So moving people around, talking to different people is another great way to really reduce domination, so to speak, right? So now let's take that concept to pair work. You can actually move Bill to different pairs around the room there as well. And that's going to be another great way you can minimize Bill's domination there. All right. So the last one that I just want to chat about is your validation of answers, right? Your validation of answers. There's a bit of a subtle technique, a little bit of ninja technique, right? But appreciate that the more you actually validate people's answers, the more it encourages the answers you want, and the less validation you give, the less that they actually contribute. What does that mean? Well, maybe you've got some people that you call upon that are giving you some great answers. Well, validate those answers, make those people feel really good about those answers. And then maybe over here, you've got some people that are reluctant to contribute. And when they contribute, you go, wow, that is awesome, and really make them feel good for their contributions. And maybe you've got the dominator. The dominator contributes, and maybe they say some good things, but maybe they say a little bit too much. And with your reaction, just tone down your validation just a little bit so they realize that, yeah, those were some good ideas, but the other part, not so great, right? So you want to make sure that you validate all contributions, but also modulate how you respond as well, because that's going to dictate how much they actually get involved and how much they actually go, all right, maybe I've said too much there, right? So at the end of the day, dominators, they only happen as much as you allow or the expectations that you actually set there, folks, right? So walk in, have a commanding presence, rules, ground rules, set the ground rules that everybody will agree to. Next, call on people, and that will train the dominator to know that they can't answer every question, right? And know what you're asking when you're asking it, and avoid throwing too many open questions out to the entire group. Next, a lot more pair work or a lot more breakout room work. Next, move people around the pairs, move people into different breakout rooms. Side note, make your activities even shorter and sharper. All right, just a side note. And last of all, modulate how much you validate. All right, and be subtle in how much energy you give to different people. All right. On that note, folks, have you got some value from these 9 tips on how to reduce the chance that you're going to have a dominator in your audience that kind of takes control of the room? Yes, it occasionally does happen, but at the end of the day, if you have these 9 parameters in there, then less likely it's going to happen, and you'll be able to strategically deal with it if it does ever happen, right? On that note, folks, have you got some value? These were the 9 tips on how to reduce the dominator. Thanks, folks.